Live, local, and talking about the teams that matter to you. This is Talkin Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Brought to you by McMahon's Best One Tire and Auto Care.
Good morning and welcome to Talkin Sports. For a Saturday, June 27th. I can't believe June has darn near expired already, DC. DC Hendricks with me, of course.
It has come and gone.
Yeah, why? That's one of my favorite months of the year, other than my birthday month and December, the longest days of the year. I mean, I love it when...
I think July is my favorite month.
That's good, too, but then things are kind of on the downhill slope. I love 4th of July, but anyway, yeah. I love being outside and going, well, it's all getting dark, and, well, it's 10 o'clock. But anyway, welcome in to Talkin Sports as we're talking local sports of all sorts until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Now, if you have any kind of question, comment, suggestion, opinion, etc., hey, give us a text at the Goodwill Industries in Northeast Indiana text line at 260-447-8500. That's 260-447-8500. We'll take a look at it and maybe get it on the air for you. We're going to be talking in the next segment to Mr. Mike Nutter, president of the Fort Wayne Tincaps, in our weekly Tincaps update. And then we're also going to bring back Mr. Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of your Fort Wayne Komets, because, well, the Komets have had thus far a very busy offseason, and it only looks to get busier. And they've had a few players signings, some pretty good ones. And we'll talk to Shane about the upcoming 75th anniversary season. And when you think back at that, only the Hershey Bears of the AHL have been around continuously longer than the Komets. So anyway, we'll talk to Shane a little bit later on. But, hey, use the text line and get a conversation started with us. Fort Wayne Tincaps on the road last night with the Lake County Captains. Playing on the road, they continued their winning ways with an 8-4 win over Lake County in Midwest League Baseball. Cash Mayfield, who's been money most of the season, started, but it was the bullpen. Had a little bit of a struggle last night, but it was the bullpen that shut the door on the Captains. While the Caps pounded out 12 hits, 3 of those home runs on the evening. 2 more games at Lake County tonight and tomorrow afternoon before that league-wide day off on Monday. And then the Tincaps return home to Parkview Field. They'll start a 6-game series with the Great Lakes Loons. And they, if I'm not mistaken, they are still the Los Angeles Dodgers affiliate. And all kinds of promotional events going on at Parkview Field during that homestand, including reversible bucket hats. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But now, with the Tincaps on the road, if you go out to Parkview Field tonight, you can witness for free. That's right. Let's underline that and bold that. For free, the Fort Wayne Philharmonic's Patriotic Pops. And if you've never seen that, gosh, come on out there. I'll be emceeing the event, also narrating Gardens of Stone. This will be my 3rd year doing it, and it's such a thrill to be, well, I say working with the Philharmonic, but, I mean, they're just an amazing group of musicians. And I've always been, I mean, I love music, can't play a note of it as an instrument, but just the sound. I went to a rehearsal on Wednesday evening, and just the sound as they are all warming up the violins, the oboes, the drums, there's an organ, everything. It was just incredible listening to accomplished musicians just warm up. And then they went into a Gershwin tune, which gave me a couple of years back, and I've heard of Gershwin, but I wouldn't have known any of his music anyway. Hey, come on out. It's fun. There will be fireworks tonight, too. Gates open at 6, and get your preferred seat for the Philharmonic and the fireworks. It should be a great time. DC, you ever been to Patriotic Pops? And if not, why not?
I have not.
You're too busy doing podcasts.
Yeah, I'm if it's not high school football or baseball or
that's
with
me.
My kids, yeah,
like I said, and I
more than likely not.
Oh my gosh, and I'd never listened to that kind of orchestral music in the past.
Yeah.
But then I did, and it's like, oh my gosh, these guys and women are phenomenal. I mean, if they were athletes, they'd be all-stars at their position. It's just incredible. Caleb Young is a conductor, and he used to be the head conductor for the Philharmonic. Then he went overseas. He's been stationed like in Berlin, but he goes all over the world conducting, and it's just cool. And if you get a chance to get down to Parkview Field tonight, as I said, it's free. There's fireworks, and veterans will be treated wonderfully by the Fort Wayne Philharmonic and Parkview Field. So there's special seating and all kinds of recognition for veterans as well. So anyway, that's my plug. Hey, this day in Fort Wayne sports history in 1995, and by the way, that is the book by Mr. Blake Sebring, noted author of several books, and pretty good sports writer, too. Had the Komets beat for several years, and he would call it like it was with the Komets. So, but on June 27th in 1995, the Fort Wayne Volleyball Club won their 4th straight national title. Coached by Brian Moore, Fort Wayne beat Chicago 15-7, 11-15, 15-9 in St. Louis to earn dynasty status. So, that was something that, volleyball in these parts, I mean, the name's synonymous with volleyball in these parts, ball, Arnie Ball, Loy Ball. Also, I mean, just the people that came through here and played. And now, we have facilities, indoor, outdoor, for volleyball, and it is becoming large. Also in 1973, a $10,000 purse draws a record number of fans to Avila Speedway. And I got a couple of great nephews that race on the circuit. And obviously, Avila is not around anymore, nor Bearfield Raceway. But Jonathan and Jordan Gatton race and are quite accomplished at, a young age, both still in their 20s. I think so, Jonathan, aren't you? Are you still in your 20s? I'm pretty sure you are. Anyway, they're great nephews, they're great nephews. So that was, and I know that there is such a faction of people that are just avowed race fans. We used to call it stock car racing back in the Moose Myers days, and Art Terlosky and guys like that. And Scott Stovall was the young gun back in the day. But, it's got a great following. I know I talked to my friend Kenny Barr, who is somewhat of a historian when it comes to local auto racing. So, anyway, that was in 1973. So, Fort Wayne FC will return home on July 4th. They'll host the Spokane Velocity FC over at Ruoff Mortgage Field. That'll be a 7:30 start on 4th of July. So And as I'm driving past there this week, I'm noticing Reggie Telemac's video board is going up on the one end, and he's got to be beside himself. He is the graphics and video producer for the Fort Wayne FC, also the University of St. Francis football, and does a tremendous job. He is incredible. And former football player at St. Francis, too. So I run into a lot of former University of St. Francis football players in the professional ranks now. And there's so many of them that, they went to school around here, then went to St. Francis, played football, and then they're in the business community. So they are out and about and doing very well. So podcast, 260 Dugout Podcast, DC Hendricks, what you got for us this week?
You mean the one I just dropped yesterday or the following week?
Yes. We got time.
Got both. Okay.
Yeah.
So yesterday I finally dropped the interview that we did. It feels like 3 weeks ago, but it wasn't. I'm busy. I had this guy, I don't know if anyone knows his name, but a longtime baseball lover, historian, player, coach, president.
Sounds boring.
He's been around a long time, played in the 70s. His name was Jim Shovlin.
What a schlub.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody knows that guy. But had him on. Somebody was telling me to get him on, so I had him on. All seriousness, though, had you on the podcast, which was long overdue. You were the first guy that I met when I started playing adult baseball. Mm-hmm. First guy I met when I walked in this building. So
I could tell you what chair you were sitting in the conference room when I walked in there.
That's right.
And you looked familiar. You were filling out an application to be a board operator
I was.
For 1380. And I don't know. I just walked in there, and I'm usually not like that. I just mind my own business, and I walk in there and go, "You play baseball?" And you said, "Yeah." I thought, "Who's this guy?" And it went from there.
And it's been all friendship and beyond that these days with you. Our relationship has only grown. So it was long overdue to bring you on. Just to dig it into, I learned some stories I didn't hear yet, so that was good. Always love talking baseball with you, but that was more of a long form interview.
I love doing it with you.
Yes.
And by the response I've already gotten from people, I know that what you're doing and you're marketing the 260 Dugout Podcast properly because it's getting out to the baseball community.
What's funny is I haven't even shared the podcast yet.
Well, good. Let's get going.
I know that's my bad. I was at the USF camp yesterday. Okay. I literally edited the episode. I got off work at 5. The episode was out by 5:30, and then I went straight over to Bishop Darcy Stadium and covered the prospect camp over there.
5:30 last night.
Yes.
Okay, because I think I listened to it at about 6.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know it had just come out.
Yeah,
okay.
it just got released.
Okay, well, yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that with you.
Yep.
And
also had Trey Deckman too.
Yeah,
he was on the episode for the second time. He reopened his commitment from Ball. He decommitted from Ball State, reopened his commitment, recommitted, and he is now going to Michigan.
Yep.
For now, MLB draft is coming up in a couple of weeks, so just stay tuned in for that. But Trey Deckman of Columbia City's had a very, very busy spring and summer. Let's just say that. Tons of workouts with MLB teams just in the last few weeks. Marlins, White Sox, Tigers,
Rangers in Cincinnati. Yeah,
it's crazy. Just in the last couple of weeks. Couldn't imagine being a high school kid and even knowing any of that. 24 of the...
A little different these days. I know back when I was, after my junior year of high school, I was playing summer ball. I was playing Connie Mack, and I had a coach tell me, "Hey, you got somebody behind the backstop watching you." I go, "Oh, thanks." Okay, I'd rather not know than know.
Right.
But the guy at the time, now this was mid-'70s, he was from the West Coast Scouting Bureau. So they didn't even, each individual team, this was, once again, back in 1975, they all didn't have the money to send people and have people in certain geographic locations. But the West Coast Scouting Bureau handled the Padres, the Dodgers, the Angels, the A's, and the Giants. There was no Seattle yet, or anything like that.
Right.
But they would come out, and I got a little card from them that said, I'm on their radar. Just
nice.
I didn't have a fastball, so that's the first thing you need. They'll teach all the other junk.
Right.
But anyway, so a lot of fun. It was. It was great.
It was definitely one of my favorite episodes. And the next week, I'll go ahead and tease. I'm going to be talking travel ball. We're getting close to travel ball season. All the tryouts for all the 700
for next year.
For next year, all the 700 travel programs we have in there.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Or maybe I'm not. All the travel programs having tryouts in the next couple of weeks. But I have, all seriousness, I have a great conversation coming up with Mark De La Garza, if anybody knows that name. We're gonna dig
he's been on the show many times.
Yes, and he is a great mind when it comes to travel ball to dig into. We're gonna try to come up with some ways and some ideas and kind of brainstorm how to make travel ball, how to get it back on track, and youth baseball. There's a way that to get it back on track, or at least get it back towards that direction and steer the ship back right. So that's what we're going to be talking about on next week.
Yeah, because I think, the Summit City Sluggers have been around for decades.
Yes. And,
I remember some of the early sluggers, Josh Van Meter for that matter, but Mark De La Garza and Greg Van Meter were two of the admins that got things started, Josh's father, and they got things going. But, they were also synonymous with on-the-field instruction and off-the-diamond life lessons for these kids and opportunities for furthering their education as well through the sluggers and through the contacts that they had made. And I believe they started it when Mark's son, Andy, was young enough to play, and he played in high school. I believe he went to Coastal Carolina and played for the Chanticleers there, and then was drafted into professional baseball. So, but it went like that. And I know that I did my show at one point from, I think it was, is it Hosier Field or Mosier Field down in Huntington, where they were having a breast cancer awareness tournament. And so I did the show right from there, and there were a lot of guys out there. I talked to Rich Dunno. I talked to Mark De La Garza, so many other people. Josh was in Lake Elsinore at the time playing for the Storm and sent some jerseys, some autographed jerseys to be raffled off and auctioned. And they would make money, but the kids were involved in all of the fundraising and all of the handling of the tournament brackets and things. It was really cool to see because they had responsibilities and they had accountability, and it was great, and just loved it. So, but yeah, Mark has been around baseball many, many years. Before we go to break, I want to tell you about my friends at Culligan. If you have a water softener, and it doesn't have to be a Culligan. If you have a water softener, give them a call today and find out about their water softener inspection. $29.95 for a little peace of mind. Remember that your water depends, especially if you're in an outlying or rural area and don't have, let's say, city water where you've got 8 grains of hardness. If you got a little higher number than that, that's goofing up your water lines in your home. I'm telling you, and your life of your waterborne appliances, your water heater, your dishwasher, your washing machine, they will all be compromised if good water is not going through there. Call Culligan today and find out more about their water softener inspection. And I said again, it can't be, it's not just Culligan that they handle. They will handle all makes and models. So Do that today. 484-8668. 484-8668. Give your people Culligan Water. We'll be right back with Mike Nutter. You're listening to Talkin Sports on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
America 250 is more than a milestone. It's a celebration of the moment.
Pass is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
The memories.
3rd and 3. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Dwight Clark.
And the matchups that shaped a nation.
Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes...
From the earliest days of competition to today's biggest stages, sports have always been a part of the American story.
Just turned midnight here at Fenway Park. Back to full. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
When America celebrates, we all play a part. 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne Sports Station. Happy birthday, America.
Hey, I'm Larry Bird. I'm here to help get the message out to parents about a growing crime targeting teens right here in Indiana. It's called sextortion, and it's when teens are manipulated into sharing private content like explicit photos, which are then used for blackmail. Teens are scared to tell their parents. They feel like they have to send criminals money or more photos, hoping to avoid humiliation. These aren't bad kids. They're victims of a crime. Break the silence. Visit InternetCrimesAgainstKids.com to start a conversation with your teen.
This message sponsored by the Indiana State Police.
Goodwill Industries of Northeast Indiana is a proud sponsor of Talkin Sports. Goodwill empowers and prepares people for independence through training, personal growth, and work. You help support the Goodwill mission by shopping in any of our 8 stores or shopping the shopgoodwill.com/Fort Wayne site. You can also help by donating any clothing or household items for resale in our stores. Goodwill has been a part of our Fort Wayne community since 1937, helping people with barriers to employment find meaningful work in the community. Go to www.fwgoodwill.org to find out more about Goodwill Industries of Northeast Indiana.
Over the past few years, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected how we live our daily lives. Today, we also face a mental health pandemic that threatens our well-being as we attempt to rebuild our social networks and communities.
The pandemic has reminded us to value family, community, and our human connections. However, it has also left many of us feeling more isolated, confused, and alone, struggling to find meaning amid loss and uncertainty.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans experience emotional and mental health challenges. But many of us do not understand what we are facing or know how to ask for help.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, we understand what you are going through, and we are here to help. Our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all. We work every day to eliminate stigma, combat mental illness and substance use disorders, and advance mental health. If you or someone you love needs help, you are not alone. Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
If you're someone wondering why there's not a sophisticated establishment to gather with friends and coworkers at the end of a stressful day, listen closely to the next 20 seconds. DuPont Bar and Grill introduces you to the J.D. Bourbon and Cigar Lounge in Leo Crossing, attached to DuPont Bar and Grill. Upscale and comfortable with a huge variety of top bourbons and quality cigars direct from Regals. After a business meeting, after a round of golf, or just because, check out the J.D. Bourbon and Cigar Lounge. Now open Wednesday through Saturday, 4 to 9, next to DuPont Bar and Grill in Leo Crossing.
Now back to Talkin Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to Talkin Sports for a Saturday, June 27th. This program note, we are 1 week away from the 4th of July, and we will not be airing a Talkin Sports show. DC, don't throw things. Please, please.
You caught me.
Please.
Got me.
But, yeah, we are going to spend 4th of July with our families and be back July 11th. And special program note, we will have another co-host with us, DC, on July 11th.
Oh.
It will be none other than New Haven High School baseball coach Dave Bischoff.
Let's go.
He is going to be in the studio co-hosting, and we're probably going to try to get some umpire to come in, too, and talk.
Nice.
And so, anyway, because he bid on basically a raffle item that I put out there to co-host Talkin Sports at a St. Peter's Emmanuel, I believe it is, fundraiser back in March, and he was the high bidder because he wanted to do this.
Got the big bucks.
And I'll tell you what, he won it in July 11th. So I put it out there. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
How long after he walks in the room until he gives me crap for not having him on the 260 dugout?
Well, I will give you crap because you need to get him, Matt, and Kyle, and Chris.
There's a lot of people.
I mean, the New Haven Baseball Diamond is named after, it's called Bischoff Field. And I told him, I said, man, how does it feel to have a baseball diamond named after your wife? I said, that is awesome. So, yeah, that whole family is incredible. But let's go to the Talkin Sports phone line, powered by Summit Choice Credit Union, because waiting on there patiently while I ramble is Fort Wayne Tincaps president Mike Nutter. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Great to be back on with you.
Oh, great to have you. And before we get started, I have some unfinished business, that you don't know about or anything like that. But I have a friend of mine who, he's a high school educator, and he's old enough to know better, but he wants to be a ball boy or a bat boy for the Tincaps, and he keeps telling me, talk to Mike Nutter, make it happen. Is this even possible?
He can't pass the background check.
Ooh, okay. Aha. Well,
no, I'm kidding. I would love to try and make somebody's day with that for a game. We can make something like that happen.
Okay, but first he has to pass the background check. Okay, so the ball's in his court.
If he's a friend of yours, I like his chances.
Oh, my goodness. So, and I hope he's listening, and if he is, I'm sure I'll get a text shortly. Either him or Dan Scheib will text me. But anyway, I like the sound of 5-2. How's that for getting out of the gate in the second half in the Midwest League season for the Tincaps?
It's really been great. We had to buy some patience and time. I'm not always great with it either, but wait for Lake Elsinore to win the California League first half. And we've had a lot of times of player moves over the years, but we've never had one like this. So last Sunday we wrapped up, the first homestand that included some of the second half. It was split right there in the middle, and we had a monster homestand last week of 8,000 people on Thursday and 8,000 people on Saturday night, and just some incredible nights. And then the Padres were in town all week, and they just kept saying, hey, we're going to make some moves. And after the game, they let me know what was happening, and on a 30-man roster, we have 9 or 10 new players. Now, Jake Cunningham 100% deserved a promotion to Double-A. We're happy for him. Musgrove and Edmondson, 2 incredible relievers, a little older for this league, both earned it big time. So 3 guys went up, and a ton came here from Lake Elsinore. We sent some guys down. The Padres sent some guys down to Lake Elsinore. They sent 1 or 2 all the way back to Peoria, Arizona, to Reese. Always asking you and me on the text chain and different things like, who do we look for? Ryan Weidman is a huge prospect, just picked last year in the draft out of Western Kentucky University. He has a speed and power package down in Lake Elsinore. I think he had 6 or 8 home runs and 35 to 40 steals in the first half. And so an incredible young player. Another one, Carrington Cross. I've been told that he's an Indy native. He played his college ball over in Cincinnati. and he set the University of Cincinnati all-time record for hits and was the Big 12 Player of the Year. So some nice college pedigree coming in. They're playing with us. They're excited to play. They're excited to get back to this award-winning ballpark on Tuesday. Hopefully before that we win one or two more in the next couple days. And then like at the Major League level, it's Padres-Dodgers next week with the Tincaps playing the Great Lakes Loons, and a lot of promotions and a lot of fun coming up.
Boy, yeah, there are a lot of promotions. Now, I still want to backtrack, though, and find out when is the date of the Major League free agent draft. And with that, will there be much shuffling around of players again due to the draft, or are most of the players drafted then put out in the spring training complex and worked out there?
So great question. I believe it's July 13th. It's coming up, in the next couple of weeks, and I don't think we'll see a ton of movement right away. I think it's become, we're at the halfway point. That's where these kinds of things happen. I think the Padres, somebody said more than 25% of the players in their system moved this past Monday and Tuesday. And so I'm not saying that we won't have any. Last year we got a couple of players, polished college guys, to come right in here. That would be great. Or if a handful of guys go to Lake Elsinore and that pushes more guys up here, that is great as well. I know Johnny Matthews just wants to have a group that, who knows where it all ends up, but where we're competing and you feel like coming out, we've got a real chance. And so the draft is in the next couple weeks. There's been a lot of media lately for the draft combine, kind of like the football thing in Indy. That's really cool. There's guys out there. There was a high school kid throwing 102 the other day, another kid throwing 98 miles an hour from shortstop across the diamond. There's some serious freaks out there, and hopefully we get a couple of them down the road. My goodness. When you talk that velocity, and look at what Mizorowski just did, for the Brewers, and back when Nolan Ryan would hit 100, that was otherworldly. And, I mean, he was the express. He was the intimidator. He was everything. But he was about the only one that was throwing with that kind of velocity on a consistent basis. So, but now it seems like just about everybody's got the ability to go triple digits. We had Tucker Musgrove. He just got promoted to Double-A, throwing 99 for us consistently when he was coming in out of the bullpen. He was an NAIA two-way player, Jim, that truthfully in college was better at hitting than he was at pitching. He's already had Tommy John surgery, and he's an engineering major. And that's just one guy at a high A team. I think we have like 9 pitchers throwing in excess of 94 miles an hour. Man. Again, back in the day, the average Major League fastball was 89 miles an hour. And when I say back in the day, I'm talking like the early 90s. And so it's just, again, is that a direct correlation with all the arm injuries? It's hard to think it wouldn't be somehow related, but it's just wild to see what these guys can do. And you named Nolan Ryan, and I think, I didn't see him, but my dad did, and we're a Cleveland family growing up. Bob Feller, and then cut short by things, but I think of J.R. Richard. I know you remember him, where it's like some of this stuff where it was such an outlier, and now you can turn on a game, and I'm always respectful of these guys, but at the major league level, and it might be a guy you haven't heard of or most fans haven't heard of, and here it is, 98, 99. I mean, Mizorowski last night, 105.5. Yeah. And they asked him after the game, do you think 106 is attainable? And he said, I do. And I think 108 might be attainable. My God. What? I mean, like, how in the world does anybody get hits? And sometimes I've been critical of, like, hey, the game, it's either strikeout or walk or homer. Well, you try hitting that. And I am never going to disparage the guys that played in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But it's so much different now. I mean, you're watching these games, and a major league hitter's got to face 4 different arms, right-handed, left-handed, different angles, different pitches, crazy velocity. Hitting's not easy. Oh, well, yeah, and just the human reaction time of a hitter has to be able to identify if that's a pitch that he can put a good swing on
and he's got milliseconds to be able to make that decision. And it's just, but they do. You know, and then you look at a guy like Greg Maddux, who won 355 games, throwing 87-mile-an-hour fastballs, but he outsmarted the hitters.
Throwing complete games in 2 hours. Stuff that we loved.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're talking this morning with Mike Nutter, president of the Fort Wayne Tincaps, in our weekly Tincaps chat. If you have a question for Mike, you can do so via the Goodwill Industries in Northeast Indiana text line at 260-447-8500. And we had a text that did come in, Mike, that says, was there a meal provided by Matthew Boyd last Saturday?
Love the question. Love longtime listener that knows that Major League guys, when they come in, usually do something. Matthew Boyd sold a lot of tickets for the home team Saturday night. He was a great young man. Came in, came out, did not spend the night overnight, and we all walked in the next day. And Matthew had contracted with a local coffee company. There was a coffee bar set up off the elevator down in the clubhouse. It was a really cool thing. He spent a lot of money, and both teams could go out and get a coffee, the staff, the front office, and it was a really nice touch on a Sunday morning when people are tired at the end of the week. And so he was great. He was gracious. He probably signed 100 autographs when he arrived out in the parking lot. When he left, there was a bunch of people that kind of saw him walk across the field and thought maybe he's going to leave, and he probably signed another 100 on his way out. Nice guy. I got to chat with him briefly, and he said, Mike, my second or third pro start ever was at Parkview Field. And I said, no way.
Wow.
We went back and looked. The Toronto Blue Jays drafted him out of Oregon State. We were low A at the time. They flew him right to Lansing, and he made a start. And I told him afterward, I said, I just went back and looked at the box score. And he said, who was in it? I said, well, you pitched great, but the home guy, Zach Eflin, who our fans will know is still in the big leagues, I said, he went 7 innings that night, 11 strikeouts and no runs. And he got a chuckle, and he said, well, we're both still doing it. And so really good young man. And he's a big coffee guy, and he did a really nice thing contracting with a local coffee company, and it was a cool setup.
Mike, I want to talk now about the promotions that are taking place on our next homestand that begins on Tuesday. And the one that jumps out at me is rather unique, and it's $10 tickets for next week's games, June 30th through July 5th. And I think this is new to the Tincaps, but usually prices get premium prices. Tell us how this came to be.
We're loved that we're home the week of the 250th anniversary of the country. We've been so blessed in our 18 years downtown. We think that we have one of the best ballparks and best fan bases, and we get to do it in the best country. And Michael Limmer brought it to us a couple weeks ago, and we said, let's do it. It included the 4th. It includes all 6 games. If anybody's on social media, I think they can get it at all the Tincaps platforms. They might be able to get it from the website, but it's for everything. It's for Tuesday night with Paw Patrol and Family Feast, and Wednesday night for Puffer Bellies, and Thursday with the concert, and Friday night is a big one with fireworks and Harry Potter. You know, the 4th we can talk about tickets, but the City of Fort Wayne fireworks. And then Sunday's an awesome game with post-game autographs and a reversible bucket hat. $10 reserve seats, so a chair back, an individual seat, the real thing for all the games this week coming up. It's absolutely been extremely well received. You know, the 4th doesn't have a ton of availability left, but people have been buying all the other days, and it's been really, really cool to see. Last homestand, we had a rain out, but the other 5 days we averaged 6,500 fans a game, and if weather nature cooperates, it's going to be hot next week, but it looks like it's going to be dry. You know, we can have another big week around that ballpark, and people can save a few bucks and come down and watch some great baseball and some incredible entertainment.
Any chance of an attendance record, single-game attendance record on 4th of July?
Yeah, I think so. I think we need Mother Nature to cooperate. I've resisted looking ahead. I did see on Wayne TV this morning, they said 30% chance for next Friday and Saturday. We can live with 30. We don't like 80s and 90s and stuff. It's a special night, 250th anniversary of the country, a Saturday night, the city fireworks, right on the parking garage in right field. We remind people they're not coming off One Summit Square. And as you and I talked this morning, 328 lawn seats available at $9 each. We just opened up the treetops, the rooftop $20 tickets. That includes all they can drink, soft drinks. We just opened up the summit. We never have it for individual tickets. And that includes, that's more expensive, obviously, but that includes your ticket. It includes all you can eat and all you can drink, beer, wine, and soft drinks. When we say that, that's not a challenge to our fans. You just have a couple of cold ones and a couple times through the buffet, and you'll thank me later. And, so there's about 570 or so tickets left between those areas, and then it goes to standing room. And some people love the standing room. They love coming in at $8. They're cool with it. It's great. But if they want something other than standing room, when you and I are done, when the show's over today, they should go online and grab them now, because a week from today, I don't know that there's going to be any of that stuff left other than standing room.
Okay, listeners, you've been warned. So there. Mike, thank you for joining us this morning, and we'll see you out at the ballpark.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
That was Mike Nutter, president of the Fort Wayne Tincaps, in our weekly Tincaps chat. We're going to go ahead and take a break and then come back, and we're going to talk to Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of your Fort Wayne Komets. We'll do that when we return. You're listening to Talkin Sports on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
The Fort Wayne Tincaps defeated the Lake County Captains 8-4 on Friday night at Classic Auto Group Park, giving them a share of the series here this week away from home. The Caps will look to make it 4 of 5 tomorrow night. Brian Balzer, the right-hander, and the number 28 ranked prospect in the Padres system, will take the ball, and he'll be opposed by Lake County left-hander Michael Kennedy. First pitch for tomorrow night's game is scheduled for 7 o'clock, which means it's a 6:40 edition of Tincaps on Deck right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Big news, Fort Wayne. It's employee pricing for everyone happening now at Glenbrook Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Don't miss out on your chance to save thousands. But hurry, it ends July 6th. Only at Glenbrook Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram under the giant American flag on Coliseum Boulevard.
Everyone can help keep our roads safe. When I'm driving my truck, I'll remember to check my mirrors for smaller vehicles. And when you're on the road, try to avoid lingering in my blind spots. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
It is critical we keep AM radio in all cars and all trucks. Hey, Sean Hannity here. More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for news, traffic, weather, sports, and a community connection, as well as news information and, yes, opinion. It is the backbone of the emergency alert system, and that keeps us safe in dangerous times, because when cell and internet services are down, well, this free emergency service might be your only lifeline. Now, text AM to the number 52886. Text AM to 52886. Tell Congress that we need AM radio in our cars. Text AM to 52886 today.
Picture this. You're in your car, perhaps heading to a sporting event. Your tire pressure light comes on, your brakes are squeaking, and your dashboard is lit up like Christmas. Where do you go? McMahon's Best One. McMahon's Best One is your one-stop shop for full automotive service and repair. Whether it's a simple oil change or flat repair, to brakes, alignment, engine diagnostics, and more, McMahon's Best One can fix it all. With 8 service centers in Fort Wayne, New Haven, Lima, Ohio, and Bryan, Ohio, McMahon's Best One is here to accommodate you. Visit us at McMahon'sBestOneTire.com to make an appointment today.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Now back to Talkin' Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to Talkin' Sports. Along with DC Hendricks, I'm Jim Shovlin. Thanks for tuning in as we're talking local sports of all sorts until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Easy to get a hold of us. You can do so via the Goodwill Industries of Northeast Indiana text line at 260-447-8500. If you've got a question, comment, suggestion, anything of that nature, especially one Komets related, because on the Talkin' Sports phone line, brought to you by Summit Choice Credit Union, is Fort Wayne Komets play-by-play man, Mr. Shane Albahrani. Shane, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jimmy.
And a lot going on with the Fort Wayne Komets even this week, because now Ben Boudreau, who just was introduced as the Komets' next coach after being a former coach, is now starting to sign pivotal players. And one of the biggest ones is returning Komet captain Alex Albahrani. Talk a little bit. First, let's talk about Ben returning and what that's going to mean, and and everything involved with the Komets. I mean, what's the vibe around the front office now with Ben in the fold?
It's a breath of fresh air. I have to admit, Ben is such a lively person and such an enthusiastic person. He's actually, one of my favorite people in the world, just on a personal level. That's just because he's just that positive, and he just has so much energy. And, those are the guys you want to be around. And I think the players will respond to that. It was a crazy, 48 hours, when we were blindsided with the news that Jesse Kalicki was leaving for South Carolina. Also, Corey Melkert was going to go with them. So, we had a crazy, crazy week. And, we were just incredibly fortunate that Ben Boudreau was available. We really were. And, within 2 days, we had Ben back in Fort Wayne. He was signing his contract, and we had him up in front of the podium saying he was the new head coach, for a second time. But, Ben knew that, hey, it's June. Players can sign this week. So he wasted no time. I mean, he was immediately, once I don't even think he was back in Fort Wayne. I don't think his contract was signed. He was immediately on the phone recruiting for next season, and Alex Albahrani obviously was the first call.
Yes, indeed. And that was wonderful to see that the captain's returning. I mean, that tells you something right off the bat, that there's substance here. And even Albahrani, in being interviewed by others, had said, too, that, with the chemistry that Ben and Olivier Legault have, he's excited about that. And the same thing with Anthony Pedrozelli, that, when he was interviewed, talked about the chemistry and things like that. So I'm just excited about the 75th anniversary season going in a direction that's new, but yet still Komet hockey, and that's been important to me for a lot of years.
Yeah, we like to keep things in the family, and if you take a look at all of our coaches and everything, just throughout the history, there's only been a couple times that the Komets have gone outside of the family, and sometimes it doesn't work out so well. So, you got to try it once in a while. It happened with, Greg Puhalski came in and he won a cup. Jesse Kalicki come in, he was successful, but sometimes you just got to go back and get some of the Komet magic and guys who, appreciate Fort Wayne and know what it's like to be a Komet. And, and Ben Boudreau is so grateful to be back. He pretty much grew up here. His dad played here when he was a kid. So, he ran around the Coliseum halls when he was 8, 9 years old. So this is home to him. So, he is just so thankful to be back. And, he's already working the phones. He tapped back in to that University of New Brunswick pipeline that won him a cup in 2021, getting Cody Watson out of there. And he's one of their best players, one of the it was over a point per game with the Reds, and that's one of the best college programs in all of Canada. So he's tapped back into that pipeline, and, I expect this team to be really competitive. Edmonton is all on board with having Ben Boudreau back in the fold. So, and guys from last year, they enjoyed their time here. So I've heard nothing but positivity from the guys who are available to sign. So I expect this roster to come together pretty quickly.
Well, and young Mr. Miller is back as well, the Leo native. He signed. Tell us a little bit about the rookies that have inked contracts with the K's.
Yeah, Cody Watson is a big gift there. Again, he was a point-per-game guy, over a point per game. He can score. He's a big guy. He's a strong forward, and really looking forward to seeing what he can do. So, again, Ben Boudreau is a really terrific recruiter, and also Alex Aliardi as well. So he's a guy who's going to make phone calls to get some of the veterans coming into the Komets. So everyone, was on board. You mentioned Matt Miller. I'm real interested to see what Matt Miller does under Ben Boudreau because he really fell off. I mean, he scored 25 fewer points than he did the year prior when he was in Reading and he came to Fort Wayne. And so this will be a bit of a redemption year for Matt Miller since he kind of underproduced. So it'll be interesting to see what Ben Boudreau has in store for Matt Miller.
And, of course, Reese Harsh, the defenseman for the Case. I guess my question, Shane, each individual head coach has their style of play that they prefer. And what can Komet fans see on a nightly basis from a Ben Boudreau-led Komet team?
Well, I know people, they hate to see dump and chase hockey. It's not the most exciting, but it really works.
It can be effective, yeah.
Yeah, Greg Puhalski won a cup here in 2000, way back in 2002. He's a guy who played the dump and chase game, and it was booed for seasons. But until he got the pieces he needed to play that system, it didn't work, and it gets kind of frustrating. But once you get those pieces, it really is an effective brand of hockey. So, but in this league, it's really hard. Sometimes know what your lineup is from week to week. So dump and chase is just. Sometimes it's the easiest to do when you're bringing in, when you have 2 or 3 new guys in your lineup because of call-ups and injuries. That's just the way you need to play. So it will be a physical. I mean, the one thing that is not lost on Ben Boudreau is that you got to have a couple heavy guys out there. I think this team is going to be more physical. So, and that's what Komet fans also want to see. Strong defense, quick forwards, and I think it's going to shape up just that way. I'm all the faith in the world of Ben, to bring an entertaining team because, again, you know what? He knows what the fans are like here. He knows what to expect. He knows what the expectation is. So he's going to bring it come October.
We're talking this morning with Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of the Fort Wayne Komets, and talk a little bit about the 75th anniversary, things that you can divulge. Because I know there's some secrets and some things that won't be unfolded until they occur. But what can you tell us so far about the planning for this 75th anniversary? Hell, I'm excited.
Well, it's going to be really, really fun, Jim. Some of the stuff that we are planning is just fantastic. It's a big undertaking, but it's been incredibly, incredibly fun to do. We kind of got off track with the planning with the whole coaching situation, which we didn't really see coming. So, that kind of took us off our game there for a couple of weeks. But we got that sorted out. Now we're back to planning. But fans are going to be really surprised with some of the stuff we are doing. So, but just know that we'll be celebrating all 75 years, when we start the season of Komet hockey. Actually, as we sit here, Jim, I'm actually working on a project. I've got the laptop open, and I'm going through some scrapbooks. So it's been a fun project going back and reliving some of these games, and just keep an eye out on, sometimes the first week of August to see some of the fun stuff get announced.
Okay, and I've only got one request, and that's the original Captain Komet logo on a jersey. That's all I ask, and who knows if that'll come to fruition or not. But that was always my favorite jersey. That seeing Terry Pembroke on the cover of the Komet program with the white home jersey. Oh my gosh, yeah. Anyway, that was years ago. But anyway, well, Shane, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a little Komet update, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks a lot, Jimmy.
All right, thank you. That was Shane Albahrani, play-by-play's voice of your Fort Wayne Komets. And DC, before we get going, I want to some Wildcat scores. It was the Wind Surge 20, Flying Tigers 6 over at Foster Park. And out at Boyd, it was the Tigers 7, Cardinals 1. My grandson Wesson plays for the Tigers. Kit Kats didn't play. That's who Ronan plays for. But, he didn't get a chance to play. Out at Huntertown, the Sultans of SWAT beat the Great Bambinos 13-8. And, my gosh, the Trash Pandas were beat. Well, they had a tie with the Sky Carp, 13 apiece at Foster Park. And out at Wallen, we talked about this before the show started. It was Starburst 24, Tootsie Rolls 23. And the Tootsie Rolls just couldn't get over the hump. But Kit Kats at Wallen 25-17 over Skittles. And it was the Great Danes dropping one to the Huskies 12-9. Those are just some of the scores from Wildcat Baseball, and we'll have more. Don't forget, no Talkin Sports will occur on July 4th. Hey, be with your families. Listen to them for an hour between 9 and 10. And July 11th, Dave Bischoff in studio to co-host Talkin Sports with DC and myself. We're looking forward to that already. So do tune in for that. And a special thanks to Mike Nutter, president of Fort Wayne Tincaps, and Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of the Fort Wayne Komets, for joining us. As always, thanks to D.C. Hendricks for keeping it all smooth. And thanks to you, the listener, for your text and for tuning in each and every week to Talkin Sports. So, until July 11th, have a great week, everybody.
Podcasts by Federated Media.